Hi everyone, my name is Susan Knowles, and you may know me from my website at susanknowles.com. That's SUSANKNOWLES.com. As you also may know, I am a psychotherapist and a former practicing California attorney. I'm also an author. My book is on Amazon.com, and it's entitled Freedom's Fight, A Call to Remember. I'm here today to talk to you about a really serious matter that's happening in the news, but it's not really being reported in the news all that much, at least not yet. And this has been going on for quite a while. And if you go to my website, my article on this is called Justice for Justina. Was the state right in taking her? And I'm not going to go over all the details of it. You can get the details there in my article. But essentially what this is a 15-year-old, I believe that she's 15, was diagnosed with what they think is mitochondrial. And that's a disease that basically has a lot of effects. And again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor. But this young lady was under the care of a doctor at Tufts Medical Center, and the doctor was Dr. Corson. And he was treating her for approximately a year and a half when this girl had been ice skating, got sick with the flu, and basically the doctor felt that she should go and see a gastrointestinal specialist who was at Boston Children's Hospital, because he was an expert, and this is a doctor, I believe, that had been at Tufts and had left Tufts and then gone over to Boston. And this doctor, Dr. Corson, felt this would be a good idea for her to be seen by him. So the mother took her, transported her, I believe by ambulance, I'm not sure, but sort of on an emergency basis, over to Boston Children's Hospital to be seen by this doctor. Now, when she got there, much to her chagrin, a new doctor that had basically just been, I think, practicing for about 7 months, started seeing Justina and felt that mitochondrial was not the proper diagnosis, and that she had been misdiagnosed, and felt that, we need to have our psychologists look at her and find out what they think as well, because this doctor felt that this was mostly psychological and wanted the doctor, a psychologist at Boston Children's, to verify that. Justina Pelletier was then seen by the psychologist, who felt that, basically this was a disorder that was all in her mind, essentially, and that the parents had sort of caused her to believe that she had this disease, even though her older sister had been diagnosed with the same disease. Now, next, a Dr. Newton, who was sort of like the head of the Boston Hospital Child Protective Unit, if you will, took a look at this case and felt that she had some great concerns. Namely, that the mother had demanded that Justina be given a feeding tube upon her arrival at the hospital, when the hospital believed that she should have been given an opportunity to try and eat on her own. Now, also, she was concerned with how Justina acted around her mother and felt that she was impaired when she was around her mother. And she also was concerned about the number of complaints that the parents had lodged against other hospitals or other doctors that had treated Justina in the past, and felt that maybe the parents were, pretty difficult. She was also alarmed by the number of surgeries that Justina had been given, and felt that these surgeries were unnecessary and severe. Now, this is where, as a psychotherapist and as a former practicing attorney, that I become very alarmed. The hospital took it upon themselves to contact the Department of Children and Families in Massachusetts. And for those of you who perhaps are in California, this is it's basically Child Protective Services, okay, CPS. And they said, we feel that the parents here are not properly treating their child. And they especially thought this because they decided, the hospital did, that they were going to just change the treatment plan for Justina. And when her parents would not go along with the change in treatment plan, but rather they wanted her taken out of the hospital and taken back to Dr. Corson, that's when the hospital said, oh, we have a problem here. We need to contact DCF and get this child taken away from her parents. And that's exactly what they did. They would not allow her to leave the hospital. They have since, basically, according to the parents, denied the parents from seeing her for any length of time. I think they have maybe an hour or less a week to see her. Now, again, I'm not making allegations against the hospital or anyone else, because I only have my research that I've done online and what I've heard on the Glenn Beck program to substantiate what I'm feeling and what I think is occurring. But again, I'm not making the allegations. I have no firsthand knowledge. I'm just reporting on what I believe is going on here. One of the things after that, the parents were then ordered by the juvenile court, is my understanding. They were given a gag order and told that they could not talk about this story to anyone. Well, what happened is, this happened back in February of 2013, and over this time, the Pelletiers have seen their daughter's health deteriorate. In fact, they talk about her receding hairline, her receding gums, her inability now to walk, and according to the father, I believe he said that she was paralyzed sort of from the waist down. The father is now actually accusing the hospital of abusing their child. It's his allegation that they have ordered, their daughter at times to sit on a toilet and told her to, go ahead and go to the bathroom. There's no reason you can't go to the bathroom, when they know that she's had operations for, I guess, not being able to go to the restroom like she should be able to. And at one point, the last surgery that she had, they found a band wrapped around her colon that should have been there, and that was removed. And then at the time, they put in some tubes so that she would be able to go to the restroom better. And, my thoughts are, if these allegations are, she's been misdiagnosed, she wasn't treated properly, then what they're doing essentially is saying the doctors who have been treating her and who gave her these surgeries did so with, they were unnecessary. She should never have been given these surgeries. And basically, Boston's is saying, these doctors committed malpractice. They're not coming right out and saying that, but that's essentially what they're saying. I don't understand how in this case, and I've worked with CPS here in California, they have a hard job. They see cases that you and I would really not want to see. Children physically, mentally, sexually abused beyond belief. And, so I don't know about DCF in Massachusetts. I really don't know. But what I don't understand is how they took this child away from their parents when this child was being, treated under the care of a physician for over a year and a half. Now, why didn't the hospital allow this child to leave the hospital, report the parents to DCF if they felt that, abuse was going on, and then, DCF could have gone into the household and removed the child and into their protective custody, or anything else. They had the right to go in there and see them. But it basically, she's been imprisoned, in this hospital and not allowed to leave. And, again, the allegations here are against the doctors. And this Dr. Corson at Tufts used to be a practicing doctor at Boston Children's Hospital. So this person is one of their own. It also seems to me that the psychologist made a huge error. Again, I don't know, I wasn't there. But after sort of seeing this child for a very short period of time, it's not unusual for a therapist or psychologist to render a diagnosis, a preliminary diagnosis. But when you're rendering a diagnosis, that is a difference between having this child, be returned to their parents and discharged from the hospital, or to be taken from their parents. You would think that more psychologists more doctors, more, licensed professionals would have come in and done an assessment of this child before making such an important diagnosis. So, again, I don't know all the steps that were taken, but from looking at this and the research that I've done, it just seems like more should have been done before a diagnosis of this matter, of this measure, had been given to Justina. Um, you know, it really sort of gets me here, because, here's a child. This could happen to anyone's child. You come into the hospital, you think that everything is okay. Oh, thank God we're here and the doctors are taking care of her. And then you have a doctor who basically says, no, we disagree with what your other doctor was doing. And oh, by the way, we're not allowing you to take your child back to that doctor, nor are we allowing you to get another opinion. In fact, we're keeping your child and we're reporting you as medical abuse against your own child. And as I said, now Justina's father is even saying that the hospital is starting to psychologically abuse his child, according to his beliefs. And it's interesting to note that, according to the father, when he was talking on the Glenn Beck program, the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families has not been to their household. Now, I don't know if that's because the other children aren't minor children. I don't know. But something seems wrong here. According to the father also, the family is broke now from trying to fight this. And because the father has now violated the gag order and gone on the Glenn Beck program, he is, last heard that the Department of Children and Families have filed to hold him in contempt of court and wants the court to enforce that. Please go to freejustina.com and make a donation if you can. The family has indicated they are broke and they desperately need to have donations to continue this fight. I would urge you also to let Boston Children's Hospital and their donors know that you are not in favor of what happened and that you want them to free Justina. I see no reason that she cannot be allowed to leave the hospital and be taken to a doctor of the family's choice. It doesn't make sense to me. Please go to my article at susanknowles.com. Please tweet out the article, tweet the story, keep this going. Free Justina. Thank you for your time.